Welcome to what are we doing, do you think, Nick?
Honestly, I have no idea, Clive.
Okay, you have a magic marker nearby, right? And your scrotum is within reach.
Sure, yeah, okay,
No, ha ha ha! I am just joshing and freaking you out, Nick. This
okay.
is literally as Feck. And now then,
Hmm.
unboxing videos seem to be popular.
Yes, this is true.
And as you can see, I have many, many, many boxes.
You do have a lot of boxes, Clive.
So, and quite recently, I went round to a friend of mine's house and I picked up uh, a box of books that I had lent him over 5 years ago now, I think.
Okay.
All right, Edward, hello. And brought them home and haven't really had a look. So I thought, let's have a Literary as Feck unboxing video. How's about that?
Sounds fantastic, Clive.
And then we can just comment on the books because you may have read some of them.
Okay.
So here we go. I believe it's traditional first to show the exterior of the box,
It's
right?
probably a good idea, yeah.
Okay, hang on. Now, that's quickly.
Do you Jesus, do you often lend people giant boxes of books and then not get them back for 5 years?
Well, you should know.
Fair enough.
Now, to be fair, I cheated a little bit. I don't think this is actually the original box I got them back in. I think I had to put them into a less moldy box. So
Okay.
I didn't really have a look at. So what is this box? I think...
Raberu Resu.
Oh yeah, this is sparkling water is what it is.
Okay.
Oh, damn! I showed you the QR code. Then you can probably hack my bank account. So there we go. There's the box.
Okay. There's the box. All right.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to start pulling books out.
Mm-hmm.
And I really don't know what's in here.
Okay.
So let's see how this goes.
Oh,
French Connection by Robert Moore.
So it is. I don't know if So it was a novel before it was a movie.
It was, yeah.
Okay.
This one has a preface by, afterword by Sonny Grosso himself as well.
Okay. And so, sorry, it was a novel or it was a like
it's
a work
a
of
true crime.
True crime.
True crime.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's very interesting.
Okay.
I wasn't sure if you'd read this one, but
no, I've never read The French Connection. No, and I haven't seen the film in so long. I barely remember, other than it feetures Popeye.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And Pluto as well as his partner. But after their early days, scrapping, they both got a piece of olive oil and then became friends. I believe they lived in a ménage à trois in New York City.
Very sophisticated. Yeah. They were very open-minded fellows.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, they spent a lot of time amongst seamen, so you know. But so it's worth a read. As I said, I have never read it. Okay, so
yeah. No, it's good. I mean, I'm going to have less and more to say about these.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, this one we won't have anything to say about because we've already talked about it. But I forgot that I had the original paperback. Michael Moorcock's The Final Program.
Oh, yes. I seem to remember we both enjoyed that greatly, right?
Well, also it's interesting. I just realized on the back here, it does actually say, the publishers say, the Jerry Cornelius Quartet consists of The Final Program, A Cure for Cancer, The English Assassin, and The Condition of Muzak, all available in Fontana. The novels may be read in any order.
Right.
Certainly true. But yeah, so there's that we've discussed.
That's the original one, right? That's the one that we also watched the film,
yes.
Which was my favorite part of that episode was actually the movie based on The Final Program.
Yeah, and this is a 1979 edition from
nice.
That's
a good call.
So we're racing through. Kontiki by Thor Heyerdahl. Judging by this is a movie tie-in. So
I've never seen the film, and I don't know anything about this book. So
Thor Heyerdahl is the guy. Well, I'll read to you from the back, shall I?
Yes.
Intrigued by Polynesian folklore, biologist Thor Heyerdahl suspected that the South Sea Islands had been settled by an ancient race from thousands of miles to the east. He decided to prove his theory by building a boat using the materials that would have been available to those pre-Columbian sailors and duplicating their legendary voyage. He did this back in 1947.
Okay, for some reason I've read about him before, but I don't think I've
Yes.
read.
Since
Okay.
kind of discredited, I think, as just because he proved it could be done, didn't necessarily mean that is what happened.
Yes.
But still, actually, really interesting, because it's nautical as Feck.
Yeah. I think St. Brendan is kind of in the same category too, right? There's as with the Viking visits to North America, right? But St. Brendan was also supposed to have rowed his little currach, which is like a little basically Irish ancient Irish canoe, supposedly from Ireland to the New World at some point. And I think somebody may have tried to recreate that as well.
Right. But again, as we know from Jim Thompson's No Way Man, possible if you were pissed. Maybe.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, next up. So this is just a breeze through. Just
this is great.
Something a bit different. It's kind of fun, huh?
Yeah, I agree, and as I said, it gives me a bit more time, hopefully, to read and finish up the rubber plantation book where we're supposed to.
Time. So next we got Raymond Chandler's The Long Goodbye.
Now, so I read all of them, but a long time ago.
Me to say which one it is.
Which one that is? Okay, all right.
It's all one really big long novel as far as let's see if the back will help us. Raymond Chandler's sixth novel finds Marlowe constantly on the move with a case involving a war-scarred drunk and his nymphomaniac wife. So yeah, it's the same one as all of them, kind of, pretty much.
It's ringing a bell. It's been made into a movie, right? A couple.
Yeah. Well, there's the famous one would be the Altman one with with what's his face, which I find quite irritating.
Yes, is it Elliot Gould?
Yes, there we go.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, I'm not for Paul Thomas Anderson's Inherent and all those kind of LA noir.
Yeah, no, I'm not a big fan of that one either. Actually, the best one of those is the Bogart one, I think.
Yeah, even that's not that great. I don't know. Where do you start? I mean, I enjoy like it's something I would enjoy, for instance, to take with the bath to the bath for years, and I'll enjoy it over a few nights, and it's all good fun, and there's some great writing in there. But I don't know. I don't necessarily make it doesn't speak to the way that Jim Thompson.
I don't think he's great with plot. I don't think like in the way that Jim Thompson is, right? It grabs you by the lapels and like doesn't let go. But he is great, I think, with a sense of place. And so I feel like I've lived in like
he's good at doing that kind of extremely languid kind of, which is why I think Big Lebowski works in a way, because that's more or less a Chandler story, but like with a stoner, and having a stoner in the middle of it actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's kind of labyrinthine thing that ends up essentially going nowhere, right? But yeah, so Chandler is an interesting. I'm surprised, I suppose, like quite how influential he's been in a way. Considering that sounds like a tough sell, right? A kind of twisty, turny murder mystery where you actually don't care or figure out who
right
in the end. But something about the formula stuck, and he's got endless people copying him and endless films based on. So it always interested me that he's stuck around the way he did in a way.
Yeah, and I said I agree. He's not my
not one of our guys. He's not one of our guys, right? But you can appreciate it.
Nor, funnily enough, is really although the Maltese Falcon is fine and Red Harvest is fine, but I'm not a huge Hammett guy either. Like it doesn't
Oh, I
It's
mean, of what
it's
I've
fine.
read, I think I prefer Hammett. I prefer me some the hard boiledness of Red Harvest or Glass Key or something like that.
I mean, I could go back now. I found them like so terse. They kind of reminded me of some of like Hemingway's short stories where I almost started to lose what was going on because I feel like I didn't have enough on the page. I didn't have enough description of what the characters were supposed to look like and where they were. Maybe it would work better for me now. I should try them again, maybe.
In a way, they're actually kind of different ends of the spectrum, oddly enough, Hammett and Chandler.
Even though they're often, because I think probably because of what's his face. They're in a way they're overlapped because of Humphrey Bogart, because he played both Sam Spade
Right.
and
Right.
yeah, Marlowe. But which Marlowe movie is the one where it's all shot in first person? That's
Oh, is it a Marlowe film you're talking of? You're thinking of
Lady in the Lake.
Lady in the Lake, yeah.
Yes, yeah. That's a really strange thing because
Yeah.
that's almost never done.
That's interesting. There's another film as well that uses a similar technique for half the film, I think. Dark Passage.
Yes, and that's really effective.
Yeah, yeah.
But,
Not to be confused with Gregory Dark's Passage, which is a
entirely different.
yeah.
Yeah.
James Dickey's Deliverance.
Also, not something I realized was a novel first. I don't think. I always assumed it was a movie.
Yeah, James Dickey as well was. Hang on, he's like, I don't know, whatever the American equivalent of like a poet laureate was, right? I think that's what he was known for. Don't remember much about this actually, and I suspect this might be one of those times where the novel has been displaced by the film, because the film is so good and so iconic, that going back and reading the novel feels almost a little bit I don't know, there's no impact there anymore.
Right.
There might have been if you'd read it before seeing the film, I can see that, but it's difficult to retroactively appreciate.
And that's the one where Burt Reynolds goes over a waterfall, right, in a boat.
No. It's the one where he's got a canoe full of moonshine, and there's a sheriff in a canoe behind him.
Oh, right.
In hot pursuit, I believe
Yes.
he refers to it. Yeah.
Sheriff Roscoe. I remember this.
And comedy hijinks ensue until Roscoe buttfucks Ned Beatty.
Right.
And makes
it's a surprising left turn, really, in an otherwise fairly upbeat film.
Yeah. And Hal Needham as well. Who would have thought? Hal.
Yeah.
Here we go. Oxymoronic title of the day: The Quiet American by Graham Greene.
I have never read it, and I have also never seen the film.
I've never seen the film. The book's good.
Okay.
I've slowly over the past few, well, actually longer than I thought, because this box had been over there for over 5 years, but I have slowly over the past decade, let's say, become quite enamored of Mr. Graham Greene.
Okay.
Some of his books are quite excellent, regardless of whether, he famously wrote one for them, one for me. Kind of,
Right.
He referred to them as his entertainments, right? The more kind of, I'm not quite sure which one this is in, actually.
Right.
But it's good. It's very good in the way. Yeah. Once you get a taste for Graham Greene, I think I'm going to become a Graham Greene completist. And there's some, actually, I've got some planned for Literary as Feck coming up, actually. So, I don't know how familiar you are with Graham Greene.
I'm trying to remember now. There's something I've read, but God knows.
Power and the Glory, maybe?
Nope. And I think I might have read it way back when I was a university student. It might have been even for a course I took.
Brighton Rock is the
nope.
Oh, okay.
I'll bring him up here on as we're talking. But it's also impressive that he went on to appear in Dances with Wolves and a bunch of other indigenous themes.
Couldn't resist, could you? Couldn't resist.
No, could not.
That
I'm not even sure if I'm going to spell it right now. Which Graham Greene?
It's got an E at the end.
Okay. Yeah, but I think they both do.
Yeah.
How do you spell the Graham? Oh, there we go. No, that's hilarious. They're both spelled exactly the same way.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Okay.
Considering you didn't even laugh at my hilarious oxymoron joke, then I'm not going to laugh at. So, I know you've read this. Kingsley Amis is The Green Man.
Yes, I have.
a good book. I think we agree. In the kind of slightly M.R. James kind of mold a little bit.
Hmm. Although
Uh,
my favorite of his is still actually Lucky Jim.
I've never read Lucky Jim.
I don't know how it would hold up now, but at the time when I read it at university, I liked it a lot.
Did you see the miniseries based on this as well? Because that's
No.
what I remember being quite the thing when it was on telly when it was new. I think my parents watched it, and it being quite
Okay.
scandalous piece of television. But it's good, and I quite like what I like most about. It's a good it's a good kind of M.R. Jamesian kind of ghost story. But also, what I really like about it is it's if you remember the titular kind of pub stroke restaurant
Mhm.
that the main character runs, and he's quite the I don't know what's the word, not gourmet, like he's always just throwing back um expensive liqueurs and eating
Right.
really rich food and like
Mhm. I think it's gourmand rather than a gourmet.
gourmand. Yeah, there we go. Yeah,
Right.
very Kingsley Amis.
Hmm.
Very Kingsley Amis. Um, Double Indemnity. Yeah, I lent this fella some good books, didn't
You did, yes.
I?
I'm
The
trying to remember
James King. Yeah.
if I have actually just seen the movie, maybe. I don't know if I've read the book.
Here we go. Actually, now thinking about it, I'm maybe, and I need to read more because I only read 2 or 3. But yeah, maybe James Cain is
Hmm.
closer to being my man than Chandler
Right.
or Hammett.
Okay.
Not Thompson or Williford,
Yep.
good, but yeah, maybe we should read some James Cain. Maybe
Yeah, agreed.
The Island of Dr. Moreau by H.G. Wells.
Also never read it.
Really?
Yep. I don't know
Wow.
how that's I mean I went through
I should send this box to you.
yes, I went through a phase of like, doing like I read the original Dracula, the original Frankenstein, stuff like that, but that was
Hmm.
one that somehow yeah, Jekyll and Hyde, all of Poe, but that was one that was on my radar at the time, but I just yeah, I never got around to it.
Well, here's a book. I don't think this is actually mine because I have another copy of this, which I think you gave me,
Okay.
and I've never actually read it, so I don't know where this came from. Babbitt by Sinclair Lewis.
Oh, Sarah Lewis.
Stefano.
Okay. Or either that's the one that I gave to you and it got put in the box and went to
No, I
him.
think the one you
Come back.
gave me has a different cover.
Okay.
Or does
Hmm.
this cover look familiar to you?
Yeah, no, actually it doesn't. No,
Uh,
no, you saw that. Yeah.
I haven't read that. I'll put that in another box.
Mhm. Right. Not a bad book. Kind of an interesting. I think I only read it because it's referred to a number of times in one of John Fante's early
Right.
books.
Yeah, that
He did.
sounds about right. But Sinclair
Yeah.
Lewis did write some pretty interesting stuff, is for sure. Um, here's an interesting read. I can't remember if I lent this to you or not. Darkness at Noon by Arthur Koestler.
I don't think so. What's it about?
During Stalin's purges, Nicholas Rubashov, an aging revolutionary, is imprisoned and psychologically tortured by the party he has devoted his life to. Under mounting pressure to confess to crimes he did not commit, Rubashov relives even a career that embodies the ironies and betrayals of a revolutionary dictatorship that believes it is an instrument of liberation. So a rip-snorting comedy.
Sounds hilarious. Yes.
Yes. Great book. I think I was led to this by speaking of Kingsley Amis, kind of weird connection, but what's his name? Dead man.
Jim Jarmusch.
No. His brother still knocking about, his right-wing brother, journalist, exposed Henry Kissinger. Christopher Hitchens. I think Christopher
Oh,
Hitchens is a fan of Koestler, I think.
okay.
But there's another Koestler book which is on our literary as Feck long list, The Gladiators. So we
Okay.
can come back around to Koestler. Okay. This is an interesting one. I suspect I'd never heard of this as something I picked up. Maybe I might have picked this up at at one of those now defunct second-hand bookstores we used to have here in Tokyo, English bookstores, for like 200 yen or something in the box. The Rake Hells of Heaven by John Boyd,
Okay.
which is actually quite a funny read. I'll give you the blurb. Kevin O'Hara, a lusty Irishman with the gift of the blarney, and John
Okay.
Adams, an Alabama boy with an evangelical streak, should never have been sent on a voyage of space exploration together. But they were.
This already, no, sorry, I'm going to stop you there. This already sounds fantastic, Clive.
But they were, and landed on the planet Harlech, where an advanced culture is governed by autonomous universities. Their efforts to humanize the inhabitants suffer constant distraction from the females of the species, who are not only the right shape, but very, very friendly. Yeah, so this is basically a science fiction comedy adventure about a couple of horn dogs who land on another planet and fuck everything in sight, basically. Except it's not graphic. It's actually quite. It's because you see something like a cover like that, the Rake Hells of Heaven, and you think, ooh, some SF, ooh,
Yeah.
and then it's a kind of a bawdy knockabout. It's kind of fun. I remember enjoying reading this quite a bit.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
So there you go. I guess you'll have to be Kevin O'Hara, and I'll be John Adams, good old Alabama boy that I am. Oh, what's next? How exciting. Next we have...
Before you get onto that, Clive, did I ever talk to you about a book called Oman Ra?
Oh, I don't think so.
About the Russian... it's a novel about... it's a 1992 novel about the like Stalinist kind of era cosmonaut stuff. Quite a short, breezy... Well, not breezy, maybe the wrong word, but like it's not a long book, but quite densely packed. And I have a feeling it might be up your alley.
Okay.
I read it when in my first year in Japan, so like 20 years ago.
How am I spelling that?
I think it's Omon space RA. I think it's Oman Ra. And then it's by a Victor somebody. Give me a second here.
Victor with a K.
Victor with a K, yeah. Pelevine, Pelevine.
Oh, that name sounds very familiar, actually. Okay, I shall check it out, but it's not in a box, Nick. So
no, it's not in a box. No, but it's just for some reason something we talked about up until
if you put it in a box, then we can talk about it.
We can talk about it. Excellent.
Put it in a box.
Right.
James Ellroy's Brown's Requiem, which may be his first novel, I think. Yeah, I think it might be.
Okay. Yeah. Don't think I've read that.
Good book. Good
Okay.
book. I like my early Elroy. I've been reading a bit more recently. Actually, I kind of lose patience with him a little bit in his later years. But no,
his doorstopper.
Yeah,
career.
Good film based on it as well. I'm trying to think who starred in it. I remember Michael Rooker was in it, but I can't remember if he was actually the star of it. But I remember it was a good, because there's a few good James Ellroy adaptations, right? That
after
Cop, James Woods, which is good.
Oh yes, and that's before LA Confidential.
Yeah. That's years before. Yeah, and LA Confidential again is one of those. Personally, I don't think it's quite the masterpiece some people think it is. I think it's quite a good film, but I think Cop, for example, is a better, and actually Brown's Requiem is a better adaptation. Oh, it's our man Ellroy again, and his most famous book, The Black Dahlia, which you
which I have read. Yes. That's grim. That's quite a depressing book.
And I think this is about how far I go with him in terms of like, not necessarily chronologically, but it might be chronologically as well, but in terms of like him deliberately pushing the sensational elements and the more conspiratorial kind of tabloid approach, which I know he's using for effect as a kind of alternative lens to look at history, but a bit too much of that I find quite difficult to take.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, good stuff. Not so great film, right? By
Yes.
Brian De Palma.
Hmm.
Oh, I'm glad to have this back. George V. Higgins, The Diggers Game.
Is that Alexi Sale on the front?
Hello, John got in your mouth. No, John got in your mouth. No, he doesn't have the pork pie hat.
Right.
He doesn't have a cigar. But no, this is good. So
What is that?
uh,
What is it? Yeah, I don't know if I know
you know
George Higgins.
George V. Higgins is the guy who wrote The Friends of Eddie Coyle, which was turned into a film with Robert
The
Mitchum.
movie.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
Okay.
you're not familiar with, I thought you knew John. I thought
I've never,
George.
no. So I know the film, but
Right,
again,
great film.
I've seen it many years, but I've never read the book. I've never read any of
Yeah,
the.
I haven't seen it in years actually, and I need to because, of course, when we would have watched, it was like quite a rare film, and it was some sort of dodgy transfer from like an old 8mm film or something, right? As a Blu-ray now. So yeah, I need to watch Friends of Eddie Coyle again as well. But the book's great, and the thing with George V. Higgins is, and again, George V. Higgins kind of went off the rails a little bit and changed his style, which wasn't quite so interesting. But his early novels are almost entirely made up of dialogue. He must have been a huge influence on
Elmore Leonard.
Yes. But George V. Higgins was the master of it. Friends of Eddie Coyle is really good, and this is actually my favorite. I think this is the second one after Friends of Eddie Coyle. Friends of Eddie Coyle, Diggers Game. Oh, and then another one that was turned into a good film. Killing Them Softly, right? The one with Brad Pitt and which the original book is called Kogan's Trade. But this is actually my favorite of that early trilogy. And then they did another one called The Rat on Fire, which is really good as well, which I lent to someone and didn't get back. But that's okay because she lent me a book which I didn't give back to her either. So
it was a book exchange then, a permanent book exchange.
Yes.
So that's interesting.
You'd love this.
Is there anything on his early list that you haven't read? Is that so that we could do
yeah,
something?
I'll have to look into that because when I discovered George V. Higgins, I went on a bit of a
binge
tear, yeah, because they are really good and very Moorish, and regardless of the show,
I should, and I will, yeah.
Hello, John, got a new mouth. Right, here we go. No introduction necessary on much chat because we've actually already talked about this in a roundabout way, and I know you're a fan. The Face of Another.
Yes. I've liked every one of his books that I've read. I have enjoyed The Boxman, Face of Another. There's a weird one that's lesser known, the hospital one. It's like
the Ice Age, Ice Age or something like that.
Yes, that might be it. Yeah.
Yes. And the Man with a Ruined Map or whatever it's called.
Yep.
The one I haven't read, which is available in English, and I've seen the film version of it, but so we'll definitely do this on Literary Feck, is have you ever read The Arc Sakura?
Nope.
No, okay, good. We'll do that then. Very good Terayama Shuji movie based on it.
Okay.
As well. Oh, there he is. We talked about this already. Dashiell Hammett.
Secret Rendezvous is one that I've read.
Secret Rendezvous, yes. There you go, Red Harvest.
Yes, yeah. As I said, I'd like to go back and read it now. I think, at the time I was probably disappointed because it's always touted as being an influence on Yojimbo and Fistful of Dollars. And to me, it doesn't really feel anything like those two.
I mean, it is in there. I mean, funnily enough, the film, it's not an adaptation of this, it's an adaptation of another Hammett book. But the film that's probably closest to being an authentic Red Harvest-like story is Miller's Crossing, the Coen brothers.
Oh, okay.
Which is based on The Glass Key, I think. But there's a lot of crossover with those books. And I think Miller's Crossing is a great film. That's one that gets better the more you watch it as well, I think.
I haven't seen it in forever, okay. Yeah. The Continental Op, right? That's
Continental Op, yes.
Character.
which confused me when I was younger because I always think of it as the co-op, and that's the
So you go,
the place
so
where
you
you get
go
cheap
buy your
food.
bread.
Yeah,
um, yeah, I think it's kind of like a Pinkerton agency, right? Isn't
yeah,
that the?
yeah, exactly. Oh, now here's one. I don't know if are you familiar with Joseph Wambau's The Choir Boys?
So you know who? No, I haven't read that, but my mom always loved Joseph Wambaugh.
Ah, okay,
So those
interesting.
books were in my house growing up, but I was too young to necessarily because she The Onion Field. She was a
Right, I've
huge
not
fan
read
of The
that one,
Onion
but
Field.
yeah.
Um,
But The
and
Choir
then,
Boys is yeah, this is really good. Also
okay.
turned into a not great film by Robert Aldrich. Um, but no, I mean it's well, blurb I suppose is easiest to do. Partners in the Los Angeles Police Department. They're haunted by terrifying dark secrets of the night watch, shared pre-dawn drink and sex sessions. This actually is terrible. So basically, it's about the Choir Boys is a ironic title for a bunch of LAPD cops who hang out uh, in a park after hours and basically drink to kind of get through it. I tell you what, it reminds me a little bit of, you know, those scenes in The Wire
Yeah.
when
hmm
McNulty and Bunk go out and get fucking
Yeah.
smashed.
Yeah, and wander around on train tracks. You're like,
Yes,
Jesus
yes, and
Christ.
crash their car and shag women they pick up in bars and yeah.
hmm
So
Yeah.
it's kind of like that for an
hmm
entire novel, but it's LAPD as opposed to Baltimore.
hmm
But it's really, really, really good. It's like
Okay.
I can see some, because it's unfiltered, so I can see how some people might take offense at it now. There's a lot of racial stuff in there. It's just the way these guys would talk, right? And
Yes. Yeah.
it's outrageous and it's really funny and it's exciting and yeah, if you
Okay.
didn't enjoy this, I would be surprised.
Okay.
Um, there's another one by I read which I really like, but I'm blanking on the title. Oh, Falling Angel by William Whitford.
Yes. Yes. So hang on. Did I read? Okay. Have I read that copy because that used to belong to me, or that you lent me that version? Because I have had that version in my.
I don't know, but it's from Book Off, 300 yen.
Hmm,
Good value for
interesting.
money.
hmm
Of course, for those who don't know, the basis for the film Angel Heart
Yes.
with
And
Robert De Niro as Louis Cypher.
it's quite. It does make you realize the film is actually quite faithful to the novel when you read the novel.
Yes, yes. Again, I think it's not an amazing novel, but it's a fun read in the same way as I don't think the film is an amazing film because it's just a little bit too silly now and again, but
Yes.
is a fun film as well. Right? And it relocated as well. Right? I think where's the book set? I think the book set in yes, New York, right? But
Oh,
the
right.
film is like is it New Orleans?
New Orleans. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's much more Cajun.
Oh well, this is a hardcover. I'm gonna have to look at the spine. The Man Who Couldn't Sleep by Charles Eric May.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, I'm thinking now, why have I got this? I think published in England under the title Escapement. Now, I'm going to have to look this up, but I think maybe this was turned into a film in the 50s, and it might even be like an early Hammer science fiction film, maybe.
Oh, okay.
So let's just have a look. This is good podcasting.
hmm
Um,
Watch a
Charles,
man. Watch a man Google in real time.
yes, Charles Eric Main. Ah, here we go. Escapement, 1958. Now this must be known as something else. Ah, yeah, there we go. So this is the basis for the film The Electronic Monster from
Okay.
1958.
Hmm.
Was it a Hammer film? No, but it was it was shot in Merton Park Studio, Anglo Guild Productions. So it's a 50s British science fiction thing from the 50s. I can't remember if it's any good or not.
Okay.
But I think the book was all right.
Mhm.
That's all I got.
Okay.
We're halfway through the box now, so
Mhm.
try and pick up the pace. So we'll be here all fucking day. Oh, okay. Isaac Storm, The Drowning of Galveston by Eric
Eric
Larson.
Larson. Yes,
Yes.
the
Who specializes in these kind of books where he takes like one event and then kind of these kind of books are really I think Eric Larson's really good at doing them, right? Like he's one of the people who are really, and he's one of the, I don't know if he's pioneers, but he's certainly one of the popularizers of doing this kind of book. What's his name? The New Yorker guy who does like Lost City of Z, and he does it as well, right? Those kind of books where they pick on one historical event and then kind of spin it out, and but it's become a thing now, and too many people do it, and too many people do it badly, I think.
Yes.
And they choose like something, the gruel's too thin, right?
Yes.
But Eric Larson does it really well. I've read a few of his things. And this, have you read this one? This one's good.
No. I think the only one I've read maybe is the Devil in the White City.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, that may be the most interesting one as well that I've read, and still not turned into that film that they've been promising for years and years and years and years.
Right. But Jen just recently read Dead Week, the last crossing of the Lusitania, and she said it was fantastic.
I can imagine. Yeah, everything I've read by him is solid. Okay, what's this? Aha! Oh, okay. The Man Who Fell to Earth, Walter Tevis.
Oh, okay. Again, I probably wasn't aware that was a novel. I just thought it was a David Bowie movie.
There's David himself. No, great. I mean, as you can tell, films lead to a lot of my reading.
Right.
But no, it's really good. If you like the film, you'll definitely. Again, Walter Tevis. My favorite Walter Tevis still though is The Hustler. Also turned into a great film.
Oh yes,
but The Hustler is just like the ultimate. I don't know how Walter Tevis turns pool into like an existential kind of yeah.
You remember Charles Willeford's writing about hats?
Well, this is true. Yeah, this
man made me want to buy a hat.
Yeah, very much in the same wheelhouse. Ah, here we go. Here's the other Joseph Wambaugh, The New Centurions.
Okay.
Also turned into a.
Sounds like it should be the title to like an 80s Italian post-apocalyptic movie.
No, Nick, you fool. That clearly you're thinking of Rome 2022, The Fighter Centurions.
That's the one.
Yes. The New Centurions is the one with George C. Scott, right?
Okay.
Playing a very angry man. Who'd have thought?
Oh. What's the one where his daughter gets dragged into the porn industry?
Hardcore.
Yeah, of course it is. Yes.
Yeah, he did the one where his son gets killed by some kind of military gas or something, and the film's actually called Rage.
Yes. Yeah.
Actually quite a good film.
Yeah, well,
George Scott is very full of rage.
Yeah, if you do something well, you might as well.
Shoot someone's cat as well. I think it's didn't like that bit, but okay. Bruce Chatwin, the Viceroy of Ueda, the basis or one of the bases for Werner Herzog's Cobra Verde.
Oh, okay.
Very interesting book. Bruce Chatwin. Actually, Werner Herzog did a documentary. He did do a documentary all about Bruce Chatwin. He was a big Bruce Chatwin fan. Bruce Chatwin's books are always quite quick reads, but like really dense and full of fascinating. This is great. There's one actually his least Bruce Chatwin like book, which is very restrained and is actually set in a farm in Wales called On the Black Hill, which is just like a story of two brothers getting old together in a farm. Doesn't sound too exciting, but it's a great book. Really good book.
That for some reason sounds like it. I would definitely want to read that.
Yeah. No, it's really good. On the Block Hill by Bruce Chatwin, I recommend it. Anything by Bruce Chatwin I've read, actually, I recommend. There's a film of On the Black Hill as well, which I've never seen. So
he hasn't written that many actual novels, I guess.
no, he was famous. He's like a travel writer, I suppose. Above
Yeah,
all else, but
in Patagonia, the
yeah, that's his
Viceroy.
most famous one, right? So I think he's the guy who like maybe first reported on what the fuck, why is there a village where people speak Welsh on top of a mountain in Patagonia? I think that might be him who
Right.
discovered that.
Hmm.
Oh, here we go. This is from your collection. Why the earth would you have given this to me unless you have another copy? I assume. The Road to Los Angeles by John Fante?
I do. I have two other copies of it.
There we go then.
And one of them is the original, that's probably the reprint, but one of them is the original Black Lizard. That's why I would have kept that one, and I would have given you, that's probably a later printing.
Yeah, probably. This is by
not Black Lizard, sorry. Whatever the
Lights or something like that.
Yeah, there's the one that was Black Sparrow.
Black Sparrow.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, great. Again, one of those. I think this is a good example of the kind of book that you wouldn't get to unless someone recommended it, especially if you tend to read generically, as we do. Like, yeah, you read it because of Bukowski.
Yeah.
I read it because of you.
Yeah.
Other people will read it because of me, right? But because normally I would never pick up this book. I would have no reason to pick up this book. Why the fuck would I pick up this? Why would I read a book about two old farmers growing old together in a farm?
Right.
But yeah, sometimes you're led to these books, right? And your life is enriched. The John Fante books are great.
Those the four, the Bandini Quartet, they're all amazing.
Really like.
That might be one of my favorite ones. And the last one, Dreams from Bunker Hill,
is
an incredible return.
There's one as well that I really like. It's like a two-part book. It's basically two long short stories. I can't remember what it's called now. And the first part is basically a long, I'm assuming, true story about John Fante kind of adopting a dog. Does this sound familiar?
Yes. Yep.
And it's fucking great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really good. And again, almost, I know he writes the kind of books that's kind of just seem to come almost fully formed out of nowhere and are total palate cleansers.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So
yeah, no, I think The Road to Los Angeles is one of the books that I have read more times than any other book. I've probably read that 5 times. It's such an easy, breezy, like, again, his style is so readable and so. I remember having moments in the bath reading some of his writing and being so taken by an image or so taken by just the way words are placed together that I wanted to like snort them. I remember like lifting the book up to my face and like sniffing the text as though to somehow like absorb the energy of the writing. It doesn't work. My own writing got no better, but yeah, his books are fucking magic.
We have spoken of this in the past. Matthew Lewis's Monk.
The Monk, yes. We watched many a movie version of that.
We did. Great read. Probably of the Gothics of that era, probably the one that survives the best because it feels still quite contemporary and outrageous and.
Oh yeah, it still seems shocking now, which is an impressive feat.
Here's a book that I need to reread just to kind of take it in more because I think it takes a few rounds. Again, a very dense book, sometimes not always the easiest read. There's bits you have to slog through, but then you're glad you did. Cormac McCarthy's Blood Meridian.
Yes. Me and him have a difficult relationship, thanks to you, as you're aware. Yes. You ran me on the road right before we had our nuclear meltdown and food scarcity issues, and Yeah, yeah. So haven't gone back to Cormac, I have to
Now,
say.
this is considered his masterpiece, right? And I can certainly see why it's kind of, yeah, it's I don't know how to, it's like John Ford's The Searchers in Hell or something like that, right? And they
Okay.
threatened to make a film out of it for years and years. I think Ridley Scott tried to make, but the thing is that you, it would be an incredibly upsetting, violent film if you ever
Right.
managed to pull it off. I mean,
Mhm,
but it is good. It's good. I've read quite a few of McCarthy's things now, and he's usually worth a read.
mhm.
Yes, Blood Meridian is probably worth your investment of time and energy,
Okay.
although you may find it even more depressing than The Road.
Wow.
Oh, but here's a cheerful little number.
Mhm.
Down and Out in Paris and London
Ah, yes.
by George Chuckles Orwell.
Although that is actually, of all of his books, that is one of the more
It is quite amusing.
lighthearted. Yeah,
Yes,
there are a few laughs in there.
yes.
Hugely inspiring book for me, obviously. My first set of comics were all basically, well, my first set of comics were called Down Out and Subway and Taco Time.
Right.
And later, I amended the title to not get sued.
But yeah,
Um,
definitely one of the seminal must read Orwells, I think.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And if you've ever spent any time as a plongeur,
Ah,
then I think a very important book to read. It really
oh, here
puts you
we
back in
go.
the dish pit.
Here's the one I was talking, another George V. Higgins, Cogan's Trade.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. Filmed as Killing Them Softly. So this would have been the tie-in version, which would have been cheap to pick up when it was new.
Mhm.
Also excellent. Oh, okay. This is an interesting one because I think this has since had a proper release, certainly as a Kindle, probably as a paperback. I'm guessing Starkhouse or someone like that. This is a photocopied by someone rip-off version from Black Mask Online.
Mm-hmm.
Black Wings Has My Angel by
Oh, okay.
Elliot
I
Chase.
I haven't read. I have a bunch of their Williford. Like that's how I read the pickup and a bunch of his harder to find books was in
This
that.
is a good one.
Okay, Black Wings has been.
This is one of the gems originally on Gold Medal.
Okay.
You should pick this one up. Like I
Oh,
said,
yeah.
there's a Kindle now from
Okay.
Stackhouse or someone.
Okay.
You like that. Oh, another one. I remember we both picked up copies of this around the same time. You in Good Day Books and me in that big book off in
Mhm.
Shiroganadai. Do you know? Quiz. Do you know what book I'm referring to?
I do not know,
You
Clive.
picked it up first, and I was really jealous because you got it at Good Day Books. And then I picked up a copy like 2 weeks later on one of our expeditions.
Nope, not a clue.
The Hoods, or Once Upon a Time in
Oh,
America
yes. Yes, yes.
by Harry Gray.
Hmm.
It's interesting as well because I think we both were going back to Once Upon a Time in America at the same time and just picking up things like I think when you're younger, certain things just bounce off you or you just don't register certain subtleties or things that are not that subtle, right? And I think the thing with Once Upon a Time in America, I remember seeing Once Upon a Time in America when I was a teenager and really liking it. But if you'd have asked me, oh, what's that Once Upon a Time in America about? I would have said, oh, it's about some, Italian American gangsters, right? But crucially, it's not. It's
Yes, they're Jewish.
yeah,
Yeah.
but that's something that probably that I wouldn't have made the distinction necessarily
Yes.
when I was like
Yes.
12 or
Yeah.
something. But reading it again and watching the film again and stuff, because as well you assume because it's a Leone film and all that, and you assume
Yes.
it's Italian, right? But it's not. It's it's Jewish Americans, right? Which is kind of interesting.
Mhm.
And then it reminds you, of course, that oh yeah, of course, one of the major big crime kingpins was Meyer Lansky, right? So it
Yeah.
was
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
all Italian
Oh,
American.
yeah. I mean, yeah. Basically, And well, a seagull as well, right? Bugsy Siegel
Yeah, and
as well, right? I
who
think
was
the
the
whole LA, I mean not LA, sorry, the Sin City, right?
yeah, who was the guy who ran Atlantic City? Nucky Johnson or something. What was he like? Irish or something? Or
Oh
he was
yeah, I mean,
Italian American,
all
right?
basically all of those, yeah, and it's all of those immigrants, those non-waspy immigrants,
Right.
a lot of them ended up, yeah, um,
But a good book and an even better film, I think. A
yes,
few
yes,
years ago, I went to see Once Upon a Time in America on a big screen, actually.
I'd love to have had
Yeah,
that.
they re-released it. The only thing that was a little strange about it was an extra longer version where they'd re-edited some missing footage back in,
Mhm.
which didn't actually amount to much. But what I was kind of surprised at, because you'd expect this maybe on a disc or something like that, but to see it on a big screen was quite disconcerting because when it switched to the new footage, it was
Mhm.
immediately noticeable because it
Right,
was really, really, really shoddy quality.
grainy looking,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I was kind of surprised to see that
Oh yeah.
run in a theater, especially when it didn't really add that much to the story as far as I could see. But still, great to be able to see it on a big screen because it is a big screen film, right?
I mean, like it's one of those things where it's a film like Leone's later films where you feel like if you don't know what you're getting into, like it must have been quite an endurance test to have seen in the cinema the first time. Like that opening scene with just the phone ringing for what feels like
Right,
7 minutes as
right.
the camera kind of slowly. I was just like, wow, that's really, man, that's cinema for cinema's sake.
Yeah.
That's just not like hand holding your audience, not yeah.
Also,
Plus, it's the greatest
ah,
cake eating scene of any movie ever
yes.
made.
Who would have thought that, you go in, you go into a film, you're looking forward to the violent bits. Who would have thought the bit that stayed with you was the hungry boy eating a cake rather than get laid?
Yes.
And Burt Young is awesome in it as well.
Hmm.
Life is funny as shit. Scratching his knuckles and slobbering over some. Yeah, no, great. Oh, here we go. The Hustler, Walter Tevis.
Uh-huh. So did he also write The Color of Money as well then?
He did.
He did, okay. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. He did also write another science fiction novel as well as what's it called? Mockingbird, maybe something like that,
Okay.
which I need to read. Again, someone I want to be a complete taste of because everything I've read by him is, and of course he wrote The Queen's Gambit.
Oh shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Great book. A very good miniseries as well. I enjoyed that.
Hmm.
With our fave
Hmm.
Barbara Steele, 21st Century,
Hmm.
blanking on the name now.
I do see Furiosa is now finally streamable. So
Yeah.
that's gonna be part of my weekend here is catching up with that.
Yeah, so what, Nick?
Mhm.
So what? Because
Yeah, so what?
maybe I don't care.
Yeah, that book is incredible. That's you lent that to me, and that was a real page turner. It Lee Server reminds me a little bit of
Dino?
sorry?
Tosh? Tosh?
Yes, Dick
Yeah.
Hodges. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it has that same kind of like
Although
energy.
I had this semi misfortune of finally reading a book that you gave me,
Mhm.
the Nick Tosh Reader.
Okay.
Um, some
Yep.
good stuff,
Yep.
some absolutely dreadful shite that has
Mhm.
not aged
Right.
well.
Do you remember liking that's the one that has the chunk about Screaming Jay in it though, right?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
the bio stuff about musicians is fine,
Mhm.
but the stuff when he tries to be a bit too
Beat.
shoot from the hip, kind of
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that stuff is like kind of um embarrassing
Mhm.
and
Yes, yeah, no,
yeah,
I know.
quite
Yeah,
cringy.
definitely better as a biographer.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm not a big fan of that crime novel he wrote either. Cut numbers. I trying a bit too hard there.
yeah.
So some of his writing is great though. So yeah. Okay, let's see. We're into the last four here. What the fuck is this? This isn't my book either. mindfulness in plain English.
Let me know how that goes, Clive. I'll be interested.
Henapola Gudaratana. I don't even know what this is. But it's in the books. It's from Wisdom Publications out of Boston.
So yeah, maybe, yeah. So
Straight,
you'll be in a cult within a week of reading that
straight
thing.
to the top of the pile in front of the incinerator. Escape from Alcatraz. J. Campbell Bruce. The true story that the film is based on.
Okay.
And a very good book, this one, because it's more than just that. It's a kind of full-on history of Alcatraz.
Okay.
And a lot of very interesting stories connected. Somewhat Eric Larson-y, I suppose you could say.
Okay.
So, but years before, yeah.
Are the scenes at the beginning of Point Blank actually shot in Alcatraz, or is that just
I seem to remember so.
I think they might be, yeah.
There were some films shot there, right? Right, last two. Okay, I'm going to do this and then I'm going to do so because we've already spoken about this a little bit in the past. The Nothing Man.
Yes.
Thompson. I still feel this is one that doesn't get enough love. I think this is one that people overlook when they talk about Jim Thompson, but this is a cracker. And maybe it was because it was one of the first ones I read. But I really like The Nothing Man. I think The Nothing Man is, if only for that passage about the dude managing to pull off an impossible crime in a store just because he's drunk.
I'm not misremembering right, but that's the one where the main character has basically been castrated in a war accident or something like that, right?
I think so. Yes.
Yes, I think that's why The Nothing Man. That's where the title comes from.
Right. Yeah, no, that rings a bell. But no, it's really good.
Yeah, no, it's in my top 7 for sure.
Yeah, but it's not in some people's, I think. I feel as if it doesn't come up as often as some of his other more well-known books do. And finally, and this is a good one to end on, actually. I'm quite glad to have this back because I would like to read this again one day. J.G. Ballard's High Rise.
Yes. I pretty sure that you lent me maybe that copy.
Could be.
Either or I bought my own at some point. I don't have it anymore though, so I'm not sure where it went. But didn't watch the movie. Yes. I didn't watch the movie though, but I heard that the movie is pretty decent.
The film is actually pretty good. Yeah. I mean,
who's in it? Somebody.
Yeah, somebody's in it. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, no, somebody interesting is in it.
There's quite an interesting cast, but I can't remember any of them. The thing I remember about the film more than anything else was how cool it was to be in a theater in Tokyo, and at the very end of the film, the song that plays out is Industrial Estate by The Fall.
Oh, yes.
I just got real goosebumps, regardless of what I thought of the rest of the film. Just to hear that in a theater, Industrial Estate, it was just.
So it's Tom Hiddleston and Jeremy Irons.
Yes, Jeremy Irons is it. That's right. And there's other people. There's that Welsh fella with the moustache.
Luke Evans.
Yes, who's very Oliver Reed in it, I feel. No, High Rise was pretty good. I mean, it's such a difficult book to get, and they tried for what's his name, Cube guy, right?
You'd have thought that Cronenberg would have done a good job.
I think he did, maybe. But the thing is, if you think about it, he made the ultimate High Rise film in Shivers.
Yes, right.
Shivers is kind of High Rise pushed to the limits, really.
Yes, that's true.
And of course, because he loves his ballad, right? Because he did Crash so well, right?
Right.
So I think the only reason he didn't do High Rise is maybe just because he did do. I would be interested, actually. I'm wondering if High Rise might have been an influence on. Yeah, I don't know, because they kind of came out about the same time, so I think it might have just been something
The zeitgeist.
Water.
Right. Yes.
Well, not something. Turd-shaped sexual parasite.
Exactly. Industrial effluent.
Yes.
In your industrial estate.
Exactly. So yeah, that's what I remember most about the film. But the film's definitely worth watching because again, my memory is getting worse. It's by that filmmaker whose films I like. Ben Wheatley. Ben Wheatley. There we go. I remember just.
Yes.
Yeah, I used to like his films as well. So there we go. That was
I
the
think
unboxing.
I think we should make this a yearly tradition. I think this time next year, end of the summer, I'll unpack the box and then we'll have a bit of a chat. Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Okay, doc. Well
done, sir.
Yeah, I thought it turned out all right. So yeah, looking forward to your unboxing about this time next year then.